Hey there, I'm an animated Connor Walsh, which is kind of ironic because people say I'm pretty animated in real life. Anyway, welcome to Walsh Wednesday, my new/old podcast. Let me explain. Back in high school in 2013, I was pressured by some friends to do an impromptu solo acoustic performance in my cafeteria. Believe it or not, people really took to it. And it turned into a monthly musical series I did through the rest of high school. Who said High School Musical wasn't realistic? By college, I turned Walsh Wednesday into a web series, focusing on interviews surrounding community events, charities, and local entertainment in the Hudson Valley and Capital Regions of New York. Walsh Wednesday spawned several spin-offs such as the Walsh Wednesday Concert Series, Walsh Wednesday Spotlights, and Walsh Wednesday The Reflective Series before its hiatus in 2021. After that, I spent the last 3 years working in radio, honing my craft, conducting unbelievable interviews, traveling to fascinating places, attending mind-blowing events, and meeting some of my personal heroes. Now, with the help of some awesome people I've met along the way, I'm bringing Walsh Wednesday back bigger and better than ever. Let's stay curious, keep an open mind, and as always, I'm glad we get to spend some time. Welcome to Walsh Wednesday. On this week's episode, we're speaking with Senior Development Manager of the American Cancer Society, Nick Liporace, and Hudson Valley musician, singer, songwriter, James Kwapisz. Special thanks to Impact PR and Communications, Walsh Valuation, and IABO Board 114. That being said, on with the show. Hey, welcome back to Walsh Wednesday. As always, I'm Connor Walsh, and I got a great episode lined up for you guys today. With us is a dear friend of mine. We've been working together since, 2016, 2017 now? So it's been a decent amount of time. Working with the American Cancer Society, the Senior Development Manager with the American Cancer Society out of the Capital Region here in New York. With us today, we have Nick Liporace. Nick, how are you, man?
Very good. Thanks so much for having me, Connor.
Well, thank you for having me. Literally in your space. We're at the Hope Lodge here in Latham.
Yep.
And throughout this episode, you'll probably get to see some stills and some B-roll of it because this is a really wonderful place. But the first thing I want to talk about is the upcoming World Cancer Day. That's going to be coming up on February 4th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. So worldwide on February 4th every year is World Cancer Day. So that's not something that the American Cancer Society created. Just like we didn't create Breast Cancer Awareness Month or National Cancer Survivor Day, this is a day celebrated by many health organizations around the world. Locally here in the Capital Region, we're going to have a celebration a few days prior on February 1st at Colony Center. But it's a day to shine light not only on what cancer has taken from us, all of us have our own stories, Amen. But really shining a light on the progression and how far we've come. We have more survivors than ever before attending events like this, walking around our Hope Club here, staying at our Hope Lodges. So it's really a day to remember because we all have a story of what cancer's taking from us, but it's also a day to celebrate how far we've come, whether that be treatments, awareness, survivorship.
Yeah. Absolutely. So for those who I think the majority of people have heard of ACS, the American Cancer Society,
I hope so.
But there may be people that don't quite fully understand what the role is. Do you mind going into what exactly the American Cancer Society's role is in helping those with cancer? I know that's a big question to ask because there's a lot of facets, but...
For sure. So obviously cancer is very complex. The American Cancer Society is very complex. So we have different branches that really have different focus, whether it's working with philanthropy, whether it's coaching volunteers, like how I met you when you were in college, or research. Yeah. Our rides to and from treatment, we have folks that train volunteer drivers to pick people up. So what the American Cancer Society does, in short, is to help make that cancer journey easier for anyone. We're in the business to put ourselves out of business by ending cancer as we know it for all. Most of the money, when people think about the Relay for Life or American Cancer Society, they think about dollars, they think about fundraising. And what happens with that money? Well, most of it goes to cancer research. The research can be a real tricky thing that some folks see and celebrate and respect the need for it or that it is happening. And some people say, no, I want my dollars to stay local. Well, I am here to tell you that when my mother, best friend, grandmother, all were prescribed the same medication after their breast cancer diagnoses, and that medication was discovered by a fully funded American Cancer Society researcher. That research then became the most local thing ever. It's my mom, my friend, my grandmother. And it could be yours. It could be your viewers. It could be, any of us. So research can feel vague and empty. What do we do that's more tangible and at the local level? Well, wherever you are listening to this right now or watching, you're able to call our 800 number. 1-800-227-2345 is how you can get in touch with medical trials, insurance help.
Insurance referrals.
The insurance system is very complicated for all.
Amen. Yes.
We have specialists that can help you figure out, okay, what are you covered for? What does this mean? You can get set up to stay in the Hope Lodges coast to coast and so much more. So we're in your pocket or at your fingertips. We are also funding research. Some of it is American Cancer Society researchers. Some of it might be, the hospital down the road. Connor and I have, been here in the Capital Region so much. Since the 1970s, the American Cancer Society has funded $3.1 million of cancer research at UAlbany.
Wow.
So it could be in your backyard. It may not, but regardless of where you're sitting, it is supporting your household. And beyond that, it's also how to find local events, whether you're looking to volunteer, whether you're looking to maybe celebrate that survivor in your life. So it's a great question you asked. If there was to be a clip, what is the American Cancer Society? It's whatever you need it to be to make your cancer diagnosis a little bit easier, or a cancer journey, I should say, because you could be grieving the loss of a loved one or in the throes of a treatment yourself. So we're here to help.
Fantastic. And again, with World Cancer Day, we have a lot to celebrate. A lot of goals have been made, and a lot of landmark research has been done within this time. And with World Cancer Day, we were just talking about before we officially got on the mic, you had some statistics on the mortality rate. If you want to pull that up and share that.
Yep.
See, it just goes to show you, the timing works out perfectly sometimes.
Yep. So I just shared this with some of the volunteers I get to work with maybe an hour ago, and essentially every year the American Cancer Society puts out a facts and figures. And I was explaining to Connor that with all research, there's a lag time, there's a delay. So around New Year's every year, we release a new report with findings of a certain time. So this one that was just released goes until 2022. So about a 3-year delay, so we can go through the findings and see what's up. But since 1991, the cancer mortality rate has declined 34%.
That's significant.
That is so significant. That is 4.5 million deaths avoided here in the U.S.
Wow.
These numbers are U.S. numbers. This steady progress is jeopardized by increasing incidence of many cancers among women and younger adults, shifting the burden of disease. So they're tracking patterns in cancer. So there's a rise in cancer diagnoses in younger patients and women. And somebody real quickly could say, why? I'm not a scientist, but as I understand it, think about coverage for women and children 20, 40, 70 years ago. They were probably less likely to seek or be covered or, dare I say, believed in the symptoms or illnesses. So I don't know that it's actually that we have more, but I think that we're getting earlier diagnoses because states like New York, children are covered, women are in the workforce way more than even when we were little. Many of our parents had a lot of stay-at-home moms. Not that doesn't exist now, but now that also means that they are covered with insurance more. So I don't know. Again, not a scientist. Can help you plan an event, help you fundraise.
He's great at that.
but my take on why are we seeing a rise, I would dare to say that it's because we are screening them more. Not to panic, the sky is falling, our women and children are getting cancer more, but more so that we are catching it sooner. And it makes us more aware of it. But yeah, that Facts and Figures comes out every year. And I will tell you that when I started here as staff at the American Cancer Society 9 years ago, we were at a 26% decline since 1991. So just in the last 9
That's about
years,
10% right there.
we've been going. And starting when they had the 2020, I want to say it was the 2016 numbers in, so that was just a few years ago, because again, 2 to 3 year lag.
Yep.
That's when we started jumping a full percent or more each year.
Wow.
And that had never been seen before.
Wow.
So, having a podcast, having
getting on the news,
celebrity, I was
everywhere.
going to say, whether it's a politician, whether it is a celebrity, just being more aware that cancer is around and that screening saves lives has really helped to lead to us having this celebration that we are 4.5 million people. That's huge.
No, that is huge. And it just goes to show the work that y'all have been putting in here. It goes to show the work that people have been putting in all across the country, all across the world to help eradicate this disease. As you said, you're in the business of going out of business. And I think that is a very good mindset to have. So you mentioned this already. We're here in the capital region of New York right now, but your job and responsibilities, just like the American Cancer Society, is well expanded beyond that point. Yep. So want to talk about the ways that people can get that accessibility across the country and what your role looks like across the country as well.
Sure, yeah. So I obviously have local ties and roots, and I have the privilege of working with local volunteers. And there are some of my colleagues that maybe do have more or less of a localized footprint or portfolio, but many of my colleagues cover whole states or regions. I myself am now getting to work with volunteers in Nebraska and Texas and Michigan, amongst others. That doesn't mean that I'm going to all those places. My role as a senior development manager is to help folks like yourself that are looking to get involved, mostly through the Relay for Life program, which is celebrating its 40 years this year.
Oh my God.
40 years of impact.
Congrats on that.
Yeah, but...
it's literally on your shirt. How did I not notice?
Right on my shirt.
I knew it was a Relay shirt. I didn't notice the 40.
So since 1985, I do work with some folks that are a little bit more focused on breast cancer research, awareness, and support through our Making Strides Against Breast Cancer events. So if you have somebody or know somebody that wants to get involved, whether they're looking to boost a resume, whether they're looking to meet other survivors like themselves, I was a caregiver, I was looking to see what this was all about. There's no wrong reason to get involved with your local event. And your listeners or friends and family, they may not work with me directly, but it'll be one of my colleagues in the field, and they will help guide them to see, are they looking for networking? We have a lot of Professionals Against Cancer groups, which are young professionals in their 20s and 30s, trying to make a difference, but also trying to make those professional connections. Or are you looking to celebrate survivors? There are so many different survivor celebrations, survivor dinners, survivor receptions that cancer survivors can be celebrated near and far, that people can be a part of. So depending on what that person's looking for, do they want it to be in their backyard? Are they willing to be virtually part of something, say, on the East Coast, or to cover the state of, Kentucky? Based on what they're looking for, there's options. And there are some volunteer roles that are like a season. I work with several different committees that they meet for about 3 months, have a fundraiser, call it a year, see you next year. And then I have other groups that meet almost year-round, planning that, once a year campaign or event. So depending on the size and scale of things, it could be a bigger or smaller ask, but we have something for everyone.
No, that's terrific. And again, going in line with what you're saying, there's something for everyone. Let's talk about where we physically are right now.
Yeah.
We're here in one of the Hope Clubs, and Hope Club, Hope Lodges, they offer a lot of support to a lot of people, whether they're currently going through cancer, whether they're a caregiver, whether they're a survivor, whatever that might be. This is really a incredible infrastructure that y'all have, and it's not just something that is just here in the capital region of New York. There are others across the country. So if you're listening to whatever other state, you might be able to find something, you may not, depending on your area. But walk us through this building here for a second.
Yeah, for sure. So here in Albany, we have what we call the American Cancer Society Hope Club. It's much like our Hope Lodges, but without overnight accommodations. And Connor, what we're really sitting in,
it's a very nice area.
You mentioned how comfy it was. This is going to look like your living room, your grandma's living room, your aunt's living room, your brother's living room, because that's what the building is. 1, 2, 3. I think there's 6 living rooms because that's where people feel most comfortable. So you and I are doing a podcast in here right now, but later today it could be a table massage, or it could be a support group, or it could be planning an upcoming cancer walk. This isn't replacing the surgeon's office, the doctor's office, the oncology, that you're going to. This isn't replacing the labs. This is to add on the whole picture of getting through that cancer journey. And so here at the Hope Club, we have support groups. Lunch is going to be served in a little while. We have a lunch for all of our members every Thursday at noon called Bon Appetit. We do host some events here, from a holiday party to the last few years we've had a Halloween event that celebrates the caregiving qualities of our canine companions. Say that 10 times fast. And so you just never know what you're going to find here. It really depends on the season, the need, the volunteers that are in place. Connor, if you really love decorating cupcakes, then you could come maybe say next week and offer a cupcake decorating class. But then if it has a great response and you feel like doing it, maybe it becomes a quarterly thing or the first Tuesday of the month. So that's how a lot of our groups have been created. We have a quilting group, a canasta group, a jewelry making group, kids groups, from building Legos to family nights. It was based on a need or an interest of someone, and now it carries on. So that's in the capital region, So if you live anywhere from, I'd say, Hudson to, Glens Falls, you might come down to our Latham Hope Club. Some of our support groups do meet virtually, so there could be an option to attend even further away. But if that's not close to you, we do have our 30-plus Hope Lodges they tend to be where there's a big cancer center. So here in the Northeast, Burlington, Vermont, Boston, Rochester, New York City, surprise, surprise, Philadelphia. There's many of them, and they have different events and volunteer opportunities to be a part of. But those are also putting up, let's say, I am diagnosed with a cancer and treatment's great here in Albany, but I need a specialized, approach. Maybe I'm going to Texas or California. My wife and I would be able to be put up absolutely free in a Hope Lodge.
Wow.
For however long I need. And sometimes, it happens where a Hope Lodge might be full. Or maybe I just need to go to Boston for a test, and it's not necessarily, it doesn't make sense to turn over a room for like one day. We have a network of hotels through the Extended Stay America umbrella of hotels, and they give us free and drastically reduced hotel stays. So if you're in an area where the Hope Lodge is full or there isn't a Hope Lodge, or you don't really need the Hope Lodge, like I have a good friend of mine, she needed to leave Albany, she needed to be at a 7 a.m. Screening, testing, and she's like, Nick, is this normal? And I was like, it is normal, but the fact that you live 2.5 hours away and you're going to be stressed about parking, let's call the 800 number and see if lodging could exist. And the Boston Hope Lodge didn't make sense for her, but they put her up in a hotel room 1 block from her appointment, so she was able to come in the night before, actually sleep, because she didn't need to wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning, and make her way over to that appointment. So,
wow.
The Hope Lodge network of the American Cancer Society is something that people don't necessarily know about, but it is something that when you are part of making strides or relay, or you're just writing a general check, or you're attending a gala and bidding on something, you're helping to support research first and foremost. Yes, but you're also helping us with lodging and transportation. Here we are in 2025, and the number one and number two reason why a cancer patient may opt out of their prescribed treatment is lack of reliable transportation or lodging.
And that's difficult.
That's so difficult.
Yeah.
So we do what we can to make that easier. So the lodging piece we just covered, the transportation piece, we fund grants through different hospital partners. If they have some sort of shuttle or voucher program, Lyft gift cards or taxi vouchers, they might apply for an American Cancer Society grant to help cover that transportation thing. Or in areas where that doesn't exist, or maybe it does exist, but we have enough volunteers, we also have a Road to Recovery program.
Yes.
It's kind of like Uber, but essentially if I'm a volunteer driver, I get a update. Oh, Connor needs to get picked up. Oh, by my house. And then he needs to be dropped off. Oh, near my office. I'll accept that ride. And then that patient gets to and from their treatment with a network of background checked, insured, trusted volunteers. But yeah, so that's what the American Cancer Society is doing to help the number one and two reasons why someone's not finishing treatment.
Wow. It's exceptional, all the work that goes into this to help everybody out, because above all, yes, there is a very scientific side to the research and the help, but there also is the altruistic and the human side of it. At the end of the day, we're all just individuals, humans, going through something, whether themselves or somebody they know, and having that extra help just goes such a long way. And it's amazing. Now, Nick, you've mentioned many a time a lot of volunteer opportunities, and you started off as a volunteer. I volunteered in multiple different fashions, and one thing that both of us we've talked about before, it's very rewarding and it's very cathartic as well for a lot of people, and it helps them find the answers that they're looking for, whether they know it or not. So for those who are looking to volunteer or to get involved, or they have a specialty or a skill that they want to offer, what's the best way of them trying to reach out and finding their local ACS chapter?
Yeah, absolutely. They can go to cancer.org. They could go to, they can call us at 1-800-227-2345. Which is operational 24/7, and they could share what they're looking for, and then folks like me will get a case in our system. Volunteer Connor is looking to get involved locally, or is looking to celebrate the life of a loved one, or is the advisor of a key club or National Honor Society he's looking for information for his students. We get those types of requests all the time, and then from there we kind of shape through what's in the area, what would that person find most rewarding. I have ideas. I have maybe I even have needs. Maybe I really need a new logistics chair for this one particular event. But if you're telling me that you want to, paint pictures and interview caregivers, that might not translate to what my need is. So I need to figure out what I could offer you to help the, maybe that event, by you coming on and offering some more of that feel good stuff, maybe somebody can step in and help a little bit more with the logistics of the needs. But it's not all about fundraising events. Some people love fundraisers, Connor. Cancer walks, purse bingos, chicken wing eating competitions.
Oh, the chicken wing one.
Some people love that stuff. Some people want to be part of a network of survivors, or those that are living with loss. So there's support groups as well, and there's many ways that somebody can celebrate, remember, or fight back is kind of a tagline through Relay for Life. Celebrating our survivors, remembering those that we've lost, fighting back. And you mentioned something that I really liked. People are looking to get involved in different ways. I always say time, talent, treasure. I don't care what you have to give, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It doesn't change my opinion of you. If you have time, then you could sit on a board. You could sit on a planning committee. You could come to that day of event. Time is very valuable.
It is.
So if you have time to give, we'd love that. Talent. Okay, you're a singer. You're a painter. You are a, aerialist. That talent could be entertainment at a gala or a survivor reception.
Yeah.
Treasure. Your aunt passed away and she had a diamond, bracelet that she wanted to go to support cancer research. Maybe you're donating that at a local, auction or one of our events to help raise money. So somebody that doesn't have a lot of time, it doesn't mean that they can't make a big impact. You don't have a lot of money to give or treasures, it doesn't mean that you can't get involved. Most people, if they want to get involved, they're going to figure out if they have the time, talent, or treasure to give. And some people, it changes based on, I met you, Connor, while you were a college student.
Yep.
I think about when I started, I was 17. Through our lives, we may have more or less time or talent or treasure to give, and it's okay to kind of change while we're on the same path.
Yeah.
We might have more or less to give in different seasons, and that's okay.
Absolutely. That's seasons, I think, is the best way to describe it, because seasons change in all of our lives, and depending on what those seasons are, they do have more or less to give, and because of that experience and knowledge and whatever those seasons bring us, just the more that we have to work with. Nick, this has been an incredible interview, and I really appreciate your time and everything. Is there any last little nugget that you want to leave people about the American Cancer Society, volunteering, or literally anything?
Yeah. Well, I thank you so much for bringing, your audience with us here, and I would just advise everyone to be aware. We never know what somebody else is going through, what their journey is, and with 1 in 3 women and 1 in 2 men being diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime, odds are by the time we've made it to adulthood, we probably know somebody that has had cancer. Some of us carry that differently, but the American Cancer Society is here to make the journey easier for everyone. Whether you're remembering that grandmother that passed away 10 years ago, or you're trying to support that coworker that was diagnosed 10 days ago, we really can make a difference and help everyone that's impacted. So I'm so happy that you're here, and it's a really exciting time at the American Cancer Society. Celebrating 40 years of impact with the Relay for Life, but also just growing so many other avenues, and I thank you for being a part of it.
Absolutely. It's an honor to be a part of it. We talked about it plenty of times and don't need to get too much into it for this, but, cancer has extremely impacted my life, from my godmother to my mother, grandmother, some of my best friends even, who are my age, and it's been a very interesting journey, to say at the least. But, being able to spread awareness and use my platform to help people out with it, whether that's this podcast, whether that's getting to perform at Making Strides or Relays or whatever galas that you hit me up for, it's a real honor to be able to give back. So I appreciate you, Nick. Seriously, thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm Connor.
I'm Nick.
And as always, we're glad we get to
spend some time.
Lead the way.
Essentially, Connor, anywhere you have a zipper, it can be like a hand thing to pull to help you to grasp it better. So whether it's your purse, whether it's your coat zipper, we have a volunteer that comes and makes them with people. And then at fundraisers, we also sell them.
Fantastic.
And the bag of them.
Oh, those are adorable.
So different seasonal ones, different types of cancers, different color schemes.
Yeah. That's lovely.
So today they're going to be doing some Valentine's Day ones.
So like backpacks,
Perfect.
purses, sports bags,
Mhm.
music bags, lunch pails, everything.
Terrific.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Love it.
Yes.
Well, hey, have fun with that. Oh, wow. Even more. There we go.
Yeah.
And then the surplus that they make, they bring to events and raise more money.
Beautiful. Well, hey, thank you very much.
So here's a portrait of Gilda Radner.
Oh, wow.
First ever cast into Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
So after she was diagnosed with cancer, her and her husband Gene Wilder toured the country opening up these Gilda's clubs. This building was a Gilda's club until about 10 years ago, and the Gilda's Club reached out to the American Cancer Society to keep programming open, and we were renting a space at the time, so it was just a perfect blend, a very unique concept.
Amazing.
Schedule for the day. So all these different activities, depending on the day of the week, time of the year, a little bit different all the time. So here people can get fit for a wig, how to care for it, how to style it. They'll leave with a wig head and a wig, but there's tons of hats and scarves and head wraps, different volunteer opportunities to make some of these things. This is called a pillow pal, and you can put this on your seatbelt. So when you are riding home from treatment, if you have a port in, the seatbelt's not rubbing against your port so much.
That makes sense. That's smart.
So again, all of this is free. To be a member, you come and take a tour, you fill out an application, and you're a member for life. And when you're supporting the American Cancer Society, you're supporting places like this. So people like to know what's tangible, and for me, it's this place.
Fantastic. Thank you, Nick.
You bet.
Hey there, I'm the ad ref, and I'm calling a timeout on today's episode to tell you about this week's sponsors. First of all, let's throw it to Philomena in the booth. Philomena?
Thanks, Connor. I'm Philomena Finelli, CEO of Impact PR and Communications and a media maven, which is a fancy way of saying that my team and I help companies get in the news, transform leaders into thought leaders, and cut through the clutter with messaging that matters. And we do it all with a smile. Our agency was named the Woman-Owned Small Business of the Year for 2024 by the Metro New York District Office of the U.S. Small Business Administration, and we received the Gold Stevie Award for Women-Run Workplace of the Year, which is an international recognition. But it's not about the awards, it's about the personal interactions. We at Impact PR and Communications pride ourselves on crafting meaningful, results-driven public relations campaigns that are tailored to meet and exceed our clients' goals. If you want to learn more and talk to my team and I, visit prwithimpact.com and let us know that you found out about us from Walsh Wednesday. Now back to you, Ad Ref.
Thanks, Philomena. Now it's time to tell you about an incredible basketball tournament that is coming to the Hudson Valley. Officials vs. Cancer is happening on Sunday, February 2nd at Dutchess Community College in Poughkeepsie. The first game starts at 11 o'clock and should go to roughly around 7. There's going to be t-shirts, concessions, raffles, and half-court shot contests. Only costs $5 to get in. Now, the 15 officials that are working the game are all volunteering their time. IABO Board 114 has raised more money for Officials vs. Cancer than any other board in the country. All proceeds from Officials vs. Cancer goes to the American Cancer Society. The day starts with Red Hook vs. Millbrook, followed by Colony vs. Kingston, then NFA vs. New Paltz, Haldane vs. Spack and Kill, and to wrap it all up, Saugerties vs. Beacon. For more information, scan the QR code that's on your screen now. Hope to see you there for Officials vs. Cancer. All right, y'all, play ball. Hey there, welcome to Walsh Wednesday. As always, I'm Connor Walsh. Really happy to have you here, and I'm really excited about this episode. I've been showcasing James and his bands for a while now when I was working at Town Square radio stations, and I always loved getting another email from you guys saying you got another album coming through, you got another show coming through, because So much talent over here, and just another example of the phenomenal art that's coming out of the Hudson Valley. But a lot of changes coming through 2025, and we have a lot to talk about. So with us today, we have singer-songwriter, musician, and formerly of the band Grandfather, which is a indie psych rock band. With us today, we have James Kwapisz. Did I say the last name right?
Yeah, you did.
Fantastic.
Thanks,
James, how are you?
Doing great. How you doing?
I'm really happy to have you here. It's been a while since we've actually seen each other in person. It's a lot of time it's Instagram or over email.
In Beacon, Dogwood, or?
What it might have been. That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember which one it was, but it's been a while. It's been a sec, but it's good to have you in person.
Yeah,
Happy New Year,
sure.
of course.
Happy New Year.
2024, quite a ride for you and everything. A lot of stuff has happened. As we mentioned, Grandfather, indie psych rock band. You guys had, 7 albums? Am I right?
7 albums, 2 live albums.
Impressive. 7 albums. You had tens of thousands of streams online. Listened to in nearly 60 countries. Dozens of shows in the Northeast in 2024 alone. And 2024 is your last year.
Yep.
And that's such a bittersweet kind of thing. With considering the resume that you guys have come up with and everything, what was the decision to close the book on Grandfather then?
Well, I always thought for a while that Grandfather would be kind of an umbrella project, because whatever idea or project I had and different genre explorations would just kind of go under that. And at the beginning of this year, I had no intentions of changing that, but our bassist Jake, he just told us around June that he was gonna pursue other projects, which is fine, I'm happy for him, and people have come and gone through the years. We've had a bunch of members come and go, but I feel like Jake and Tony and Andrew have been with the band so long that it wouldn't feel right to just find somebody else and continue. Though with that said, I'm not ruling out the possibility of a possible reunion show or rebuilding the band, because it's spent the last 11 years.
Wow, it was that long now, huh?
Yeah, since 2013 at SUNY New Paltz I started the band. So I have 64 songs, so it's kind of hard to be okay, I'm just gonna part with that forever.
That is difficult. That's a big part of your life right there.
Yeah. But also, I don't know. It's a lot of this back and forth kind of thought where, I don't want to. There's part of me that doesn't want to let it go, and there's another part that's stronger right now that wants to just view this as a challenge, an opportunity to see what else I can muster and kind of embrace different, creative relationships with different people and see what we could come up with.
No, that makes sense. So when was the decision made within the band, whether or not before or whenever you made it public, but when was the decision made that this was going to be the last year?
Shortly after Jake announced his departure, or planned departure from the band. Like I said, he told us in June, so he gave us ample time to, plan for the future. But I don't know. There were other aspects that were a little dysfunctional, and it started to become a little bit chore-like rather than fun in a lot of cases. But I don't know. I feel like Jake's departure kind of...
It was kind of a catalyst with it.
Yeah, it was a catalyst, but it also was a kind of relief in a way, because it was it didn't seem like there was light at the end of the tunnel. It was just kind of oh, I guess we're just going to settle for, these dysfunctional dynamics or whatever. But it kind of opened up my mind in a way that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't had that, catalyst, I guess.
No, absolutely. Well, just kind of like any family, here you are 11 years doing this and everything, being able to kind of spread yourselves out to, experiment, try some other things. And as you said, you're not ruling out the idea of reunion. We were joking about this before you got on the mic. This is not some tragic Hollywood story where nobody's allowed to be in the same room with each other in fear of killing each other. You guys are still brothers. You guys are still, close and everything. And even though you guys won't be Grandfather as a band as of right now, you're still close, you said.
Yeah. So we had our finale show at Tubby's in Kingston, December 14th. And then we had like a Christmas party a few weeks later, and
Nice.
we were all just hanging out, and it was all good. And if anything, better, because there wasn't that like, expectation or just putting too much pressure on each other to deliver or whatever.
Yeah. You guys were free of those responsibilities you had from each other, and you could be just friends again.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of it I can acknowledge and blame myself because I'm maybe overly ambitious, like writing, on average like an album a year, and it's just kind of like, they've got their own lives. I respect that, and I don't know. I just never want to be in a position where I'm like begging someone to be in a band. It's like you got to want it as well. But yeah, I don't know if you want to pivot yet to the new project, but
before we get to the new projects, definitely want to talk about like the 6 months that you had, knowing that Grandfather's wrapping up and everything. What was that like for you and for the rest of the guys? Was it kind of cathartic? Was it kind of a walk down memory lane? Walk us through what these last 6 months of shows and releases were like in this time period.
Yeah, it was like, again, like simultaneous tension and relief. But, creatively, I'm always kind of looking forward and trying to do something new. And it was kind of a change for me because it was kind of like honoring the past and always like looking back and making sure that we're making this, finale, doing justice to it and doing it in a proper way. But yeah, we're working on like a greatest hits album.
Oh, that's cool.
Great Grandfather.
Perfect.
And,
you guys have like the greatest titles for everything.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, but we re-recorded 9 songs from our first 3 albums, which has been, we were doing that before. We were prepping for the finale show, and then November hit. We had to kind of switch gears a little bit. So, yeah, we're working on that now still. So we're still kind of like...
So, like, you're ended, but you're not ended.
Yeah, well, we're not playing shows together.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we're just going to do this and then probably, go our separate ways. Except for, me and Andrew are still going to be working together.
Yes, because we'll make that pivot now. We're totally there at this point. You have a whole other group going on, and I chose my words very carefully for that because the name of the group that you have now is...
it's called A Whole Nother.
Yep, so makes sense. A whole nother band that he's got to worry about. So tell us, what can we expect out of this one? It's you and Andrew, you said,
yes,
that you guys are moving on together, creating this group. Is it going to have a similar sound and vibe as Grandfather, or are you guys trying to reinvent the sound as a whole?
A little bit of both. I mean, after 11 years, you kind of develop a style. That's hard to just, like, do something completely new. Like, I don't know. Grandfather's always been exploratory genre-wise, but there is, like, a common thread throughout, which I think is necessary for it to seem like a band and not just, like, oh, we're a new band, like, every album,
Yeah.
But it's still, like, indie psych rock, I guess, but... I'm playing rhythm guitar mainly, and we're looking for a female vocalist. We're actually trying one out tomorrow. Her name's Lily.
Very cool.
Got a good feeling about it. Andrew's friend. Yeah, and then my upstairs neighbor, who's hilariously named Tom Brady.
Yes.
No, he's a great guy, and it's like, insert joke here, but I'm sure he's heard it his whole life and must get annoying.
Oh my gosh.
Can we curse here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool. Yeah, it must be annoying.
There you go.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, he's like classically trained. He's like an audio guy. He's got that big brain.
Nice.
That I'm very happy to be working with.
That's a name that you need to have on like every press release and be like, oh my God, Tom Brady's coming. So.
Yeah, I mean, when he first moved in, like I said, he's my upstairs neighbor. I hadn't seen him yet. And then I was seeing mail for Tom Brady, and I was like, it must not be going well post-NFL.
He's going to say, Giselle kicks him out and everything, and now he's got this flat upstairs from me. Yeah.
In Kingston, New York.
Yeah, jeez. It's like he can't show his face in New England anymore, I guess. So.
No, yeah, and then...
That's funny, though.
We recently recruited our friend Dylan, who's playing drums. He's in the band Hush Woods.
Okay.
They're like indie chill rock, kind of Radiohead-esque. But I've always been drawn to their music, and he came to our finale show, and then he was like, "Hey, I'm trying to do a new project as well on top of Hushwoods," and yeah, we've been practicing at his place, and it's been going really well.
Nice.
And then also our friend Joe, who has a project called Scrib. It's SKRIB.
Okay.
But yeah, that's his stuff is kind of like mogwai, like post rock.
Yeah.
But his forte instrument's guitar, but he's gonna be playing bass with us.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds like you guys got quite the ensemble for this.
Yeah, it's gonna be a 6-piece.
Nice.
Yeah, very excited for it.
That'll be cool. So obviously this seems still very much in the infancy of everything, but when might we be able to expect possibly new shows or new music out of this? Because knowing you and the way that you guys ran Grandfather, I'm sure something's on the horizon real soon.
Well, I mean, I'm hoping for summer,
Okay.
but I don't know. I mean, at the same time that we were kind of like honoring the past of Grandfather and preparing for the finale show and the Greatest Hits album, we, like, me, Andrew, and Joe, like, we started a band called Rachel Ray Charles. And
Great name.
yeah, we were playing together for like 6 months. We played our debut show at Jake's house, actually. Terrapin Kitchen is the name of the DIY venue in Kingston. Everyone should check it out.
Very cool. Check it out.
But yeah, we played like a debut show. It went really well, and it was like, it sounded great. I was very hopeful about it, and then the singer quit, and then shortly thereafter the drummer quit as well.
Oh,
so,
jeez.
yeah, I don't know. Like I said, you never want to be begging someone to be in your band because it's kind of a pathetic situation, even though it's like, it sounded so good, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Then you just got to look at that as like, you know, one door closes, another one opens.
Yeah.
Cause
Literally, that's Walsh Wednesday. One door closed, another one open. So I feel you on that.
yeah, we're both in similar situations.
We're not from scratch, but we're starting with a lot of wisdom and expertise, moving on to whatever that next chapter will be.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's I don't know. It's like hard because it was definitely like an identity crisis in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything's still kind of in a state of limbo in a way, but you know, we're chipping away. We have like 7 songs in varying stages of completion, so
that's pretty cool though.
Yeah, but we had to kind of like you know, 1 step forward, 2 steps back with like the whole like lyrics and melodies of that, so it's kind of hard to get the former singer's melodies out of your head when you're trying to write new lyrics and melodies, and it's like, you know, but I don't want to like
you're stuck in, well, not stuck, but you're so used to one thing. It's kind of hard to transition. No, I get that. Absolutely. So I think that really kind of helps transition to the next question that I had for you. After 11 years of growing and developing with one band and now, you know, starting a new chapter, what are some lessons that you feel that you've learned and are taking with you into a whole nother?
I think it's, you know, looking back, it's like, emotions aside, the simple fact of the matter is that some people work better with some people than others, and there's no point in the long run to force anything that doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And it's almost more important to prioritize personality over talent, and making sure that your creative endeavors and relationships are kind of, they have like a foundation of sustainability.
Yeah.
Because I could even tell with a new group that like, compared to Rachel Ray Charles before we changed the name, that like, I don't know, I would like hang out at a bar with them or something.
You guys seem more aligned at least.
Yeah,
Is that the idea?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't need to be, you know, every idea doesn't have to be like brought to trial or whatever. It's like, you know, or looked at under
Been there.
So it's kind of like, you know, it's good to have, you know, like-minded people that know how to, you know, give constructive criticism rather than being like, oh, I don't like that idea, or being too
little too critical.
Yeah, like taking, if they're like very self-critical, and then that kind of projects onto other people, and they don't, you know, it can be kind of oblivious or obtuse to the fact that they're being kind of rude.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work. So
No, you want.
I wasn't too upset about them departing from the group. So it was just kind of like, I don't need this on top of all that stuff I was dealing with. So very excited for this new year because, I don't know, working with a bunch of awesome people who are super talented and also very chill.
Nice.
Which is, rare to find, it seems.
Yeah. One thing that I was taught when I was going to College of St. Rose, one of our music professors, specifically guitar, he said one of the most important things you can learn about in the industry is to master the hang. You could be the best musician, you could be the greatest engineer, you could be the greatest producer, but if you're not chill and if you can't hang, you're not going to get called back.
Yeah.
You got to be able to work with others. You might be the best, but you may not be the best at actually interpersonal reactions.
Yeah, for sure.
And that could be detrimental for some people, or that could be a huge win for some other people. So that's one thing that I always strive for, is like always at least have a smile, have a hang, and just try to be good to one another.
Yeah, it's like you gotta get that balance where it's gotta be fun, primarily, but not too fun. You gotta be professional.
You have to have some level of accountability.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess a better word is enjoyable, and not something that or I guess like something that you're more so enjoying than enduring.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Rather focus on something you're enjoying than enduring. Yeah.
Because there are going to be, obstacles, differences in opinions, and, creative differences, inevitably. But I think it's important to kind of have the balance of that, more like 60 enjoyable than, 40% endurable. Or
I hear you on that. But that's good. So, obviously, with a whole nother, you guys are hoping approximately try to have something out for the summer, you guys getting out, get those shows and whatnot. Is there any place for people to follow that band yet?
Yeah, we're on Instagram, so it's a whole nother band, and with periods in between each word. But if you search a whole nother, it should come up. I was very surprised that it wasn't taken already.
I know, that's a good one. But again, you guys are really good when it comes to the titles. Oh, so that's good.
Putting my English degrees to work in some capacity.
Is that what you got, English degrees in?
Yeah, SUNY New Paltz.
There you go.
Creative writing and
See, that makes sense, how you're good at songwriting and everything.
So
very good.
Our new singer, or tentative new singer, doesn't really write too many lyrics herself, but I think that I'm going to keep writing in that, I'm going to keep continuing in that department, and collaborating with her. But also, Tom Brady, he's a great song. Yeah, it's hard to say.
I'm sorry.
I'm just going to say Tom. Say Tom. So, he showed me a song recently, and he was like super, what's the word? Kind of like apprehensive or unsure about it. But he showed me, and I was like, wow, this is like chills inducing. It's like very like Jose Gonzalez, and like awesome songwriting, very thought provoking lyrics. So I'm gonna see if he would want to kind of join in on that front.
I'm excited just hearing that. Like, I hope something comes out of that then.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. So we'll of course have that in the links and information in the description of this episode, along with all the stuff for Grandfather too, because as you said, you guys are going to be releasing that greatest hits.
Yep.
Is there a timeline that people might be able to expect that greatest hits to come out?
Sometime in the spring.
Sometime in the spring?
Because we recently just finished recording drums for everything.
Nice.
So we're going to overdub everything else just to get it perfect, because otherwise what's the point of redoing something if it's not going to be better than like what we already had?
Make it worth it, absolutely.
Yeah. So the whole point is kind of like with each record you could see a clear trajectory of my mixing skills. So
I feel that same.
There's a lot of songs where I want to do justice, and have like better takes of them. And then also our finale show we have recordings of. So might be another live album coming too.
Very, very cool. So kind of the end, but not quite the end. There's still enough Grandfather to look forward to.
The end of the live performances, but the digital studio elements are always kind of brewing and continuing. I don't know.
Exciting.
I feel like after the greatest hits, it'll probably be the last
Maybe a
release
hiatus.
for
We'll call it hiatus
call it a
right
hiatus. Yeah, and the posts like kind of telling everybody about it. I kind of said like, it's not goodbye, it's see you later.
Yep.
Because that's tough to be like. I don't know. I feel like people like to romanticize like endings, like but I don't know. I like having the kind of Schrodinger's
Schrodinger's cat there. I love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? Maybe that's a whole other future album title along
exactly.
the way.
Mm-hmm.
No, but that's fantastic. And of course, besides A Whole Nother, you'll be able to find more information about Grandfather. You can follow along as they close out this chapter and lead into this hiatus. But make sure that you keep following him after, because who knows what will happen in the future. And make sure that you always keep following and seeing what things are going on next. I'm excited for A Whole Nother. I'm excited to check out that band. Whenever you got those dates, let me know, because I definitely want to come out.
Yeah.
James, thank you so
Right.
much for being here on this episode of Walsh
Thanks, Connor.
Wednesday. Is there any last little nugget that you want to leave listeners, whether it's about the future or anything that you've gotten out of this last year? Any last little nugget?
Yeah, I don't know. I just gotta. I feel like this phrase has always been kind of like bouncing around my brain lately. Because like I was saying, how we were just kind of like looking backwards and honoring the past. I've been feeling like this for a while, like looking forward to looking forward. So that's kind of like, it feels like, I don't know, a breath of fresh air this new year, and like the new project, and very excited to finish up the Greatest Hits album and just be like, okay, now I could focus completely on this new project and devote all my focus and energy into it. But also, I guess another nugget I would say is like, if you're working in a band and your other band members aren't receptive to certain ideas, then always like have like an avenue in which you could release that. Like, I'm thinking about releasing a new single, like under my own name, James Kwapisz. Actually, Tom, he has a project called Foam Cosmonaut. He's going to be helping me produce that, and he's doing the beats and
awesome.
some atmospheric elements. So that should be coming out actually like next month.
Oh shoot! Okay, so
new
you got a number of things coming around the corner.
Yeah. That's like kind of like the whole idea of A Whole Nother is like, I'm thinking like the logo is going to be kind of like a Venn diagram shape. Just kind of like that concept of like putting things where they belong, or
overlapping,
like
coming together.
Yeah, not getting butthurt when your ideas are rejected, and being like, okay, well, I've always thought like my chiller stuff was never like grandfather worthy. So I always kind of like just put that on my solo project,
right.
And then you still feel fulfilled in a way.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I have this image of like mitosis, like cell division, the whole other thing coming from other things.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I love what you said, looking forward to looking forward. That's a good mantra. Again, another thing to put on a t-shirt for 2025. I love that. James, again, thank you for being here on Walsh
thanks,
Wednesday.
Connor.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me.
I'm Connor,
I'm James.
and as always, we're glad we get to.
Spend some time.
And that's a wrap on this week's episode. Big thank you to our guests, Nick Liporace and James Kwapisz. Special thanks to Impact PR and Communications, Walsh Valuation, and IABLE Board 114. Last but certainly not least, we have to recognize our first Patreon member, Jenna Hess. Thank you, Jenna. I love you very much. I can say that because I actually know you, and I appreciate the support. You can support this channel by becoming a Patreon member with memberships as low as $5 a month. With that, you can get behind-the-scenes content, your name featured in the credits of each episode, and access to the Spend Some Time chat. You can find that and more by scanning the QR code on your screen or by going to the links in the description. As always, I'm Connor Walsh, and I'm glad we get to spend some time.